Johnson City, Tennessee. Childhood home of Will Sherwood. Art Sherwood, Will's older brother, shares his recollections of Will's childhood and of his early attraction to music and all things electronic.
This house was built in 1950, so that was obviously older than Will, and it was a new house built at the entrance to the cemetery where we lived growing up, and this was the first home that Will came home to. In the Sherwood household, Will was surrounded by music, even from the graveyard behind our home, as there were times when you could hear hymns being played on the outdoor speaker system. At the young age of 5, Will was soon picking out the hymns by ear on the family spinet piano in the living room. By the time he was 6, he was making up his own tunes. Nurturing his interest in the organ, our great Aunt Mabel, who was the organist at the Watauga Avenue Presbyterian Church, introduced him to that organ. Its complexity caught his attention, and by the time he was 8, sitting on a stack of hymn books, so he could reach all the keys, he played the prelude and a few hymns during the service. It was quite an accomplishment, and needless to say, we were all proud of him. All things electronic caught Will's attention. Mimeograph machines, tape recorders, an FM radio that built from a Heathkit that followed in my example when he was 13. The multiple wires, circuits, and tubes fascinated him. He was always fascinated with the intersection of music and electronics. Will applied to engineering colleges, but he wanted to make sure there was an organ on campus where he could continue his music pursuits. Carnegie Mellon had 2 such organs, and so it made a perfect place for him to go.
Will graduates from Carnegie Mellon in 4 years with both bachelor's and master's degrees in electrical engineering, all while holding down jobs as organist and choir director at a Presbyterian church in Pittsburgh. He begins his engineering career at Digital Equipment Corporation in Massachusetts. Within 10 years' time, Will is awarded 2 patents and is promoted to management of an engineering team at the Hudson Fabrication Facility, developing the world's first 64-bit microprocessor. And yet his passion remains music, and he gives all his spare time to playing for and directing multiple church choirs and light opera orchestras. In 1985, Will is hired as director of the music program for Worcester's First Unitarian Church. It is a dwindling congregation, as much of its large membership had moved over the years from the city to the suburbs. Will joins the director of youth religious education, Diane Myrick, and the newly hired minister, Reverend Barbara Merritt, forming a team which initiates a remarkable revival in membership. Barbara, when you were hired, you inherited a congregation that was in trouble.
I was given 3 years to turn it around, or they were going to close.
And to your credit, you did turn it around. So what part did hiring Will Sherwood play in that?
We knew we had to change. We had to make it better. We had to appeal to a much larger group of people. And Will's music was central to it. I wanted the church to be known for having the most wonderful choir in Worcester. And what happened was that it became known as having those wonderful choirs in Massachusetts. Sometimes it was literally miraculous. You know, for many, many people, that music in the worship service is the time when they really touch the transcendent, when they are most focused, when they cry, when they remember what's essential. What's astonishing at First Unitarian is that the atheist, the Catholic, the Jew, the Buddhist, all are touched by the music. And it doesn't matter whether they're singing about Jesus or they're singing about nature, or the music gets to people. It's universal.
Reverend Richard Jones, Dean of the Worcester chapter of the AGO for 2 terms, nearly echoes Reverend Barbara Merritt on the effect of Will's music.
Before I became a minister, I attended First Unitarian Church weekly for about 4 or 5 years. This is what brings me to a church. Number one, the quality of the liturgical life. Number two, the preaching. But number three, and perhaps most important of those, is the music. That to me is Will. You listen to his music, and the veil between heaven and earth gets very thin and very permeable. And that to me is the heart of what good church music does.
Kathy Gagney, Executive Director of Worcester's Mechanics Hall, offers insight into Will's multiple talents which have transformed Worcester's chapter of the AGO.
He's a Renaissance man. I mean, he just can do it all, and he's so gracious. Will is the Mechanics Hall principal organist. He's the artistic director of our organ concert series. He's nurtured the love of our hook organ for so many years and infected all the organists in the AGO with that same love. So, I owe him a lot of gratitude for that. His aesthetic is so impressive. His beautiful aesthetic for sound and for imaging, and that's reflected in his photography and his graphic work. He's an artist. Yeah, he's just one of those very special people that you come across in your lifetime, and just so grateful to know him.
He will be a tough act to follow.
Well, good luck. I mean, there are a lot of very talented musicians out locally, even. You probably don't have to go very far to find someone who's outstanding, but you'll never find another Will.
While we do agree that is likely the case, we still have to believe that somewhere out there in the cities and towns of the heartland, there are numerous laddies and lassies who hear the siren call of the music, and that for a few of these, it is church music where this call is first heard. Within a nurturing family, that call grows into a passion for loving the music they make and to lovingly care for the instruments of their craft. And yes, we are not likely to find one of the rare Will Sherwoods who are out there, but we can hope they will find us as they follow their call.